Experience the beauty of Islam and bring happiness into your life. With our app One Islam TV, you will have access to a wide variety of interesting documentaries, inspiring lectures, and so much more. Download One Islam TV from the Apple or Google Play Store today. So inshallah, we have the concluding part of the story of Alpha and what comes after it from the signs of the descent of and the coming of, and we're doing this from the Hadith of the Noble Companion and Abi narrated virtually. The entire story of the Dajjal from beginning to end. So our Nasl, he came to these narrations, and what he did is he put them in order, and he added narrations from the other companions to make a full story of with the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So the nice thing about this is it's not me telling you the story, it's the Prophet ﷺ telling you the story, and it's been compiled from all of the different sources from the Prophet ﷺ. We finished with the Hadith that there is no city except that the fear of the will enter it except Medina. So that the Yal will not enter certain places, as we said, he will not enter Makkah, and he will not enter Medina, and he will not enter Al, and he will not enter the mountain of this we mentioned last time. However, this narration adds to it that the fear of the Dajjal will enter all of those places except Medina, and Medina have 7 gates at that time. 2 angels will be at each gate, repelling the fear of the Dajjal from it. So one of the jobs of the angels is to stop the Dajjal from entering it. It's narrated that when the Dajjal comes near, the angels draw their swords, and so the Dajjal sees them, and he knows that this is a place he is not allowed to go, and that is significant because it tells you that the weakness of this creature, of this human being, that even though for all he's been given, and for all the story, and for all the fear, but still he's not able to go past the door of Medina, he's not able to enter the city of Medina because of the angels who are standing there. It makes you remember that the is there doing a certain any for a certain wisdom, doing a certain set of actions for a hikmah that Allah has decreed, but he will not go above what Allah has put him at. He will not go above the station that Allah has put him, or the job, or the corruption that Allah has decreed that he will do on the earth. It will not exceed what Allah has decreed. And so when you put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save you from it. He will enlight near the barren land of Al or Jur, which is behind the mountain of Sai. Don't know if you guys know about the boundaries of Medina. You probably haven't noticed them, but if you've been to Medina and you visited, probably the most famous place you will see it is if you visit the Islamic University around the edge of the Islamic University of Medina. You will see these white kind of, I don't know what you call them, arches or like pillars kind of thing. They mark the boundary of Medina, and they extend up to the mountain, opened around. So the Islamic University basically sits on the border between Medina and being outside of Medina. It is in the barren land behind the mountain of Urid that the Dajjal will pitch his tents. Medina will shake 3 times with its people, meaning there will be an earthquake or a severe shaking of the land. All the people will feel it, and no male or female hypocrite will remain in it, except that they will go out to them. So Medina will remove its impurity like a furnace removes the rust of iron, and this day will be called Yalas, the day of purity. In Medina there remain people who, or at that time certainly, there will be people who they have Islam on the outside, but they don't have Islam on the inside. The day that Medina and Medina in general, there are narrations that Medina itself is like a furnace. It throws out the impurities. It's like the people go there. If the person is impure, Medina throws them out. But this will be most obvious on that day when every single femalil of them will be thrown out of Medina. On that day, every single one of them will go running to the end. The Prophet Soleh, Alaihi Wasallam, said the majority of the people who will go to him will be women. This is important. We have to safeguard our wives and our sisters and our daughters and our mothers, because the majority of the people who will go out to the Dajjal will be from the women. There is no evidence or no specific mention of why that will be. However, it is said that that is because women are generally more motivated by emotion. Lavam, hope you know that the sort of emotional emotion, sort of more in touch with their emotions, and the Dajjal will appeal to their emotions, and perhaps also that any ERI, maybe the ability to see the whole situation or something like that, but perhaps the emotional pull of the doll will be strongest towards the women. And we have an example of this today in the sense that where is the arrowhead of the kafir aimed at? And where is the main part of the kafir's attack? Against Islam, where it aimed at Wallah. It's aimed at the Muslim women. This is why there is no, ideological war like the war of the Kufr. For the Mus against the Muslim woman, they tell her that she is oppressed. They tell her that she will not get freedom until she goes to them and fulfills their desires. Then she will be free, and they tell, don't dress like the Muslim woman, have to do. Why do you have to listen to your men fork? Why do you make the husband a person in your household? Why? Can't you be an independent, free person? Why can't you go and do? And they continue saying these words. Now if that is what the Shan does today, how will the doll, bearing in mind the doll magnifies everything, and that does not mean the men will not go to him. The men will go to him in the millions. But why is that poll? Look at the ideological attack against the Muslim woman and against, trying to make our, giving role models for Muslim women that are devils or like devils, any subhanallah. And you see them on YouTube and what they teach the Muslim women, and it's horrific, the ideological attack against Muslim women today. And if that is what the shaitan is doing now, how will that be magnified in the time of the many, many, many times over? How do we keep ourselves safe? We mentioned multiple things. We mentioned learning the first 10 ayate of surah. We mentioned the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nobody will be saved from what is before it, except that he will be saved from it. O servants of Allah, be firm if you are firm now, and you are firm in the trials that come before. Allah will make you firm in the trial of the butt if you end up rolling around from left to right in the small trials that come now. How will you be when the gale comes, when the storm comes, if the small wind blows, and you turn from left to right? How are you going to be when the storm comes, remembering that your Lord is not one eye, and that you will not see your Lord until you die worshipping Allah in times of ease, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take care of you in times of difficulty? These are all things that we have taken from this hadith, so all of the men and the women should be concerned. But the fact that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that most of the people who will go out will be from the women, and that's also there is a strange issue in this, like something I noticed in general today in society. We find the women to be better than the men. Like generally you find many men who are not praying, not practicing, but their wife prays. She wears hijab and so on. The guy is maybe drinking, womanizing, whatever. The wife is at home, she wears a hijab, she prays, she fasts the month of Ramadan, and so on. But it's amazing to imagine how it will be when most of the women will rush out to the doll, and that is something that we have to be careful of, and we can take from it that we need to protect our women folk. And from the means of protection from the doll, as we said, included in that is learning beneficial knowledge. And we're going to come to this in this next narration, that a man in the flesh of youth from among the believers will go towards him, he will be the best of people, or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, among the best of people, and the armedmen of the doll will meet him, and say to him, where do you intend to go? He will say, I intend to go to the one who is coming forth. They will say to him, don't you believe in our Lord? He will say, there is nothing hidden about our Lord. Notice the play on words here, and he's trying first of all with them and he's trying to deceive them, and he just to confuse them. So they say, don't you believe in our Lord? Meaning, don't you believe in the he says, our Lord, there is nothing unclear about it. I'm totally clear about our Lord. I'm totally clear about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is nothing unclear to me. They will say, kill him. Then some among them will say, has not your master forbidden you to kill anyone without his permission? Because the doll has given a command to his army. Don't kill anyone till you bring them to me. Why? So he can make a fitna for them, he can be a test for them. If he kills them, what will happen? They will be shuhada, they will be martyrs, and they will go to Jannah. He doesn't want to kill them, because he knows that if his soldiers kill them, they will go to Jannah. Instead, he wants to bring them to him, so can try them so they will take him. And this man will say, where people bear witness that he is the about whom Allah's messenger has mentioned. Notice, why does this young man, why does he know that this is the because he's a person of knowledge, a person of hadith. He says, isn't this the man that came in the hadith? He's a person of so. He knows that hadith, so he knows that this man we know, who he is, the doll, will order him to be to lie. on his stomach, and he will say, catch hold of him and make him lie on his stomach, and strike him on his, and he will be struck on his back and his stomach, and he will be beaten, I don't know, in the Hadith. I'm going to come to it, I thought. In the Hadith, it mentions by a sword, but let me see, Noba, it doesn't mention by a sword, so he will be beaten. Will say, don't you believe in me? He will say, you are the false Christ, you are so now twice. The man has affirmed the truth. What did the Prophet ﷺ say about the highest form of jihad is a word of truth in the face of a tyrant. Is there any more tyrant than the look at this man twice now? Once? He was brought before the Jau, he said to all the people, while Dal is there in front of him. He says, all you people, this is the Dal, this one here is the Dal, then the Dal beats him and tortures him. He stands up and says, I bear witness, you are the Dal. Will say, what do you think if I kill him and raise him alive? Will you doubt the matter now? What is the Jal scared of? He's scared that the people around him are going to disbelieve in him because this young man doesn't seem to be scared of him. He's telling the people and now the Jal is scared that there is a chance that the people will start to leave him, or some of the people will leave him. So he says, I'm going to kill him and raise him alive. He will order him to be torn into pieces with a saw from the parting of his hair to the middle of his legs, and he will be cut through the middle with a saw from his head to the parting of his legs. He will be cut into 2 pieces, and the Dal will put the 2 pieces of the body at the distance between an archer and his target after that the Dal will walk between them, and he will say, stand, and the man will stand up alive. Then he will call that young man, and the man will come forward, laughing with his face gleaming with happiness. He will say to him, now don't you believe in me? And what will the man say? He will say, by Allah, it has only made me more clear about who you are. The Dal will then sit, or he will say, and he will say to the people or people he will not behave with anyone among the people after me, and he will not do thisto anyone after me. So the Dal will try to catch hold of him to kill him again, but the man's neck, between his neck and his collarbone, will be turned into copper. So for now, the Dal will go to kill him, and as he goes to cut his neck with the sword or with the saw, the neck becomes copper, and he cannot cut it, so he takes his hand and his feet, and he throws him, and he tells the people, I have thrown him into Jahannam. When he has been thrown into Jah, the Prophet ﷺ said he will be the best of all the martyrs in the sight Ofen, the sight of the Lord of the worlds. He will be the best of them because, what did we say? The best of jihad is to speak the truth in front of a tyrant, and he went to the greatest tyrant and spoke the truth to the people and warned the people and told the people about Islam. Not just once, but 3 times he testified, even after being beaten, and even after being killed and cut in half, he testified, and then being trying to be killed again. And he is thrown into Jannah, and he is considered to be the best of the In the sight of Galahil, then, the angels will turn his face towards Syria. See, the Dal is not able to overcome the angels. The Dal is there. For a wisdom now, some people may say or may get confused and say, does that mean that he is forced? Does that mean no, that is a disbeliever in Allahawel from the worst of the disbelievers. However, he is doing what he is doing by the decree or within the decree of Allah for a wisdom that Allah has, so he cannot escape. What the angels do, like we have protecting angels, which make sure that the command of Allah is followed with regard to Usala, has put protecting angels around us. Allah has put angels with the Dal, whose job is to make sure he goes here and doesn't go here and does this and doesn't do this. He will come to a mountain from Jerusalem and will siege a group of the Muslims. The believers will meet a very hard time. They will be in a time of a time of extreme hardship, because a siege is extreme hardship, you know. A siege, when you're surrounded by your enemy, and your enemy is Dal, and you're surrounded by the enemy, you have no food, maybe no water. The believers area in the mountain and their time of Shida. And the believers will flee from the Dal to get into the mountains. To get into the mountains, she said, O Allah's Messenger, where will the Arabs be on that day? The Prophet ﷺ said they will be few on that day. A righteous person will be their aim. And now, we come to the hadith of and he said, the Mai will be from my family, from the offspring of Allah. Will make him fitting for the caliphate. In a night his name will be like that of mine, and his father's name will be like that of my father's. He will have a broad forehead and a prominent nose. He will fill the earth with equity and justice as it was filled with oppression and tyranny, and he will rule for 7 years. These are the hadith that describe the Mai, so we need to be clear. There are so many false beliefs with regard to thee and from thee. If you hear thee, and some of the beliefs with regard to the may, or you know if they weren't a lie against Allah, they would be hilarious, because you know that these people who believe in Imam, they believe that there are 12 divinely appointed Imams from Thessia. And the different Shia sects, they had a problem, and their problem was that they had this idea that you have an Imam, and the Imam is higher than a prophet in their eyes, and the Imam, you know, selects another Imam, or Allah selects another Imam, and he selects another Imam. Except the Shia got to a problem. They ran out of Imams, and they're 11th. If we talk about the 11th Imam, who, if I'm not mistaken who probably didn't exist, as said, but anyway, let's presume he did exist, the problem was that he didn't have a son. So now we are in a problem because Thymum is about to end. So they actually said, yes, he had a secret son, and his son has gone into occultation, meaning his son has decided to go into a cave, and he's going to remain there for a few thousand years in the cave, and he'll keep on instructing people. And in the beginning, they used to go to the cave and visit him. Then, after a while, you know what? They must have disturbed him too much, so he said, don't come anymore. But instead, I will send you deputies, and these deputies are going to rule the world after me, and those deputies get inspired by me as to what I'm going to do while I'm hiding in the cave. Some of them said he took the Quran into the cave. That's why they say that the Quran that we have today is not the Quran, because he took it into the cave with him. And he's going to come at the end of time out of the cave and rule the world with justice. All of these MA and this and lies against Allah and his messenger, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. All of it is because they made this system of im and the run out of Imams. And they're all the same. The is the go through them, one that go one by one. They all have the same problem. They ran out of Imams. So eventually, they either had to make the Imams living people, like the Akonis and the Smile and the people like that, because they ran out of Imams. So they had to make their Imams like kind of living people, and or otherwise, they had to have a hidden Imam who went off. Now bear in mind that none of them agree who the hidden Imam was. Yeah, and you can't find like two sects of them that believe the same thing about the hidden Imam. They all have a different belief about who the hidden Imam is and where he was, and they all consider each other to be disbelievers because they all believe in different Imams, because they say that the Imam, that they actually got. To the point where when they got to the 11th Imam, and he didn't have a son because he's telling everyone, I'm going to have a son, and my son will rule the world, and then the problem is he doesn't have a son. Oops, what shall Edo now? So now we have to make something up. So they said, we must have got the wrong 11th in it. Must be that the 11th im that we got was not really the 11th im. So then a group of them broke off and made another 11th im, who was different from this 11th im, but in the end, he also ran out of sons, so then he never had an Imam, and you have like all of these different groups with different Imams and different beliefs in, but most of them, or many of them, believe in occultation, and he believed that their Imam has gone off for a while, and he's just taken a break, he'll be back, and in a while, all of it is falsehood. The Mahi is an ordinary human being who is from the beloved righteous slaves of Al-Hawal, from the family of Fatima, and his name is Muhammadu Abdu Muhammad, son of Abdullah, from the family of Ven and Elahel, will select him to lead the Muslims, and this will become clear inshallah as for the people coming up now, and everyone why everyone's saying, this person is saying, I am the me, I am the me, he is the me, they are the me, and Olaf. These statements, none of this is realistic. First of all, almost none of them, those people who made that claim, can have any claim in lineage to be from the family of. Furthermore, even if they did, I don't know any of them whose name was Muhammad Abda. All of these people who claimed, and you can Google all the people who've claimed to be any virtually none that I can think of in recent times there, the name was Muhammad Abda. That they were born with that name, and if they were born with that name, they don't match the description given in the Hadith. Nor do they match the time, because remember that the Prophet Sallallahu Wasallam explains that the Mai will be made fit overnight for the caliphate, and he will become suitable to be the Mai in one night, and that time is the time when the doll is walking on the earth. By this time, the doll has been on the earth for a number of, whatever it may be. Days it doesn't mention how long, but he's certainly been on the earth for a long time, because when the May is first mentioned, immediately after is mentioned Eid. For some time, and we're not told what the Mai will be doing, or will have done prior to the coming of the deal, except that he will be among the believers, and Allahal will make him the Now this is one of the honors to this and it's also an honor because, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the caliphate belongs to, meaning that as an honor, all he has made it that the complete leadership, and that doesn't mean a country or a city or a province, but the complete leadership, unified leadership of the Muslims should be, although we would still obey a person who is not from Quraysh, because obedience is not based upon whether they are from Quraysh. The Mai until the Mai, so this is an honor for the and this will become clear. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Be with Isa, son of Mary Alyssum." He also said, "Whoever of you finds him, convey my greetings to him when their imam," meaning the me, will come forward to lead them in prayer in the morning. Isa, the son of Maryam, will descend upon them in the morning. From heaven he will descend at a white minuet on the eastern side of Damascus, wearing 2 garments lightly dyed with saffron, and placing his hands on the wing of 2 angels. On the wings of 2 angels, when he lowers his head, there will be beads of perspiration from his shed. And when he raises it up, beads like pearls will scatter from it, every non-believer. And notice how the Mai and essentially come together. The Mai is there before Izam, but we don't have any hadith mentioning much about him prior to that time. We know that he is at that point the Imam of the Muslims, and at that point he is the leader of the Muslims, and he's leading them in prayer. He's the one who is leading the prayer for them, and at this time is a descent, because Izam did not die, but Allah raised him up to him now. At this point, it's important to note that Isa will descend as an ayah, not as a prophet, like the scholars say. He will come as an ayah, not as a meaning, that he will not come with a new or instructions from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, any that differ from Islam. Rather, he will behave as a regular Muslim would behave, judging by the Quran and the Sunnah. He will be given knowledge from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which he has, but he will not behave as a prophet. He will behave as an ayah, as a sign from Allah, and that is so that we do not contradict the fact that our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last of the prophets, meaning that when Isa comes again, he will not come as a prophet, he will come as a sign, as a miracle. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "There is no prophet between me and him, that is Islam. He will descend to the earth when you see him, recognize him. A man of medium height, reddish fair, wearing 2 light yellow garments, looking as if drops were falling down through from his head. Though it will not be wet, he will fight people for the cause of Islam. He will break the cross, kill the swine, and abolish the jizya." So when Isa sees the cross, he will break it. When he sees the pig or the swine, he will kill it, noting that the Christians say that the swine is permissible for them, and the Christians, many of them, they have said that this prohibition that exists in the Torah, he will kill the swine, and he will abolish the jizya. The jizya is the tax that is taken from the non-Muslim in return for being given safety by the Muslim army. So the non-Muslim, when they pay the jizya, they do not have to fight in the army. And they don't fight, the army protects them, but they stay. If there is a war, they don't join the army, they stay protected by the army. And in return for this, they remain Christian or Jew upon their religion, and they pay the jizya. Isa will abolish the jizya, as it's mentioned, that Allah will make perish all religions except Islam. So there can be no jizya, because there will be no religion at that time except Islam. Because Isa will not, when Isa is there, Isa cannot then say, "I'm a Christian." You cannot then say, "I'm a Jew and I'm waiting for Isa to come," because the Jews say, he came, his name was Jesus, and the Muslims say rather, "Both of you missed him and he came and his name was Muhammad," except Islam, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be among them, and that Prophet will not be the leader of the Muslims, as an honor to this ummah, so that their leader is not from outside of them, and as an honor to comes from Bani, is from the children of, is the children of the children of Hes, not from the Arabs, and not from. Isa will descend among them, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He will not rule he will not say in the, "I find this and this," rather, the rule of every prophet is you will believe in him, in the latest prophet that came, and you will help him. Every prophet was made to swear an oath that when the new prophet comes, you will believe in him, and you will support him. So Isa swore that oath is swore the oath. When Allah took the oath from the prophets, that whenever a new prophet comes, you will all believe in him, and you will all support him. So Isa will not rule by what he knew of the laws. Instead, Isa will judge people by the Quran and the Sunnah. The Imam, upon seeing Isa, the May upon seeing Isa, will walk backwards so that Isa can come forward. The Imam will say thee at this point. He has been called the Imam, comes forward to lead the people. He sees us. He recognizes as immediately, so he of course, what would you do? You would naturally move back and tell Isa to lead the prayer. He will say, come forward and lead us in prayer. Isa will put his hand between the Imam's shoulders and he will say, no, you have some of you. The prayer, so the Imam will lead them in prayer as their then the Hadith goes. Backward a little bit still to the mountain, and the mountain this time, it talks about the mountain in Syria. He will overcome a Syrian mountain and besiege a group of the Muslims. The people on the peak of the mountain will say to them, what are you waiting for against this rebel? Fight with him until you meet Allah or you are given victory. And the Muslims will agree to fight him in the next morning. When they are preparing for the fight, arranging their roles, and the prayer will be established, they will reach the morning and will be with them. He will lead the people in prayer. Now, here it says he will lead the people in prayer. This now narration is, and it's possible, it refers to the same incident. When Isa will come forward, but the Imam of the Muslims will lead the prayer, and it's possible that this refers to a different situation, that this is the next day or the next time the Ordurthim puts it in, appears that this is on a following day. This happens on a following day, but it's not clear to me, and Allah knows best. When he will raise his head from thee, he will say, may Allah kill the fake Christ, and may the Muslims overcome, and upon ending the prayer, following, and on a following day, and in this time, Isa will lead the prayer, and the doll he will open the door, and the doll will be behind it. With 70,000 Jews accompanying him, every man of them will have a decorated sword and a shah. Isa will seek him out. He will march towards the dial with his spear. When the doll will look at him, he will melt like salt is dissolved in water. If Isa were to leave him, he would keep on melting until he would die, but Allah wishes to kill him with his own hand. Any with Allah's own hand, and this is the punishment that is reserved for the doll. When the doll claimed that he is Allah, Isa, the blood on his spear, so when Isa will go towards him with the spear, the doll will begin to melt. Then Allahel will seize the doll, and the doll will die without Isa having touched him, and the blood of the doll will appear on the spear of Isa. When Allahel killed him, he will find him near in the east, and he will kill him, and Allah will destroy him near. Then Allah will defeat the Jews and give the Muslims victory over them. Bear in mind, now that whoever remains now with the doll supporting the doll, anyhow can they remain? How can they remain at telling the people that they are waiting for? They are waiting for this prophet to come. They are believers in Allah now. Their matter has been exposed in front of the people, and you cannot imagine that the Jews at that time are like the Jews, for example, today, or those who were in the dust situation is different, and the situation is different now. Isa has come, they have seen the die, and they continue to fight against the Muslims. Their situation becomes clear. Now it becomes clear without doubt that they are the enemies of Allah, because now there is no way they can claim we are waiting for the prophet. We are believers, we believe in Allah. We are just different from you or whatever now. The situation has become clear. Islam came, and once again they refused to believe in him, even though he killed their fake Messiah, and so at this point Allah will give the Muslims victory against them. There will be left nothing that Allah has created with which a Jew will hide himself, but Allah will make that things speak, neither a stone nor a tree, neither a wall nor a beast, except for which is a thorny tree. A music, it's a thorny tree. Why a little bit, quite a large thorny shrub or thorny tree. It is their tree, and it will not speak out, but every other thing will say, oh, Allah's Muslim servant. He is a Jew behind me. Come to him and kill him. Then the people will live for 7 years, during which time there will be no disagreement between any two people. So now we can see a new phase. And this new phase is that the doll has been killed, and after every hardship comes ease. So there will be a time of ease. Why will there be no disagreement? Because there will be no in religion. There will. be no Jew left, no Christian left, no idol worshipper left, and the people will be any upon the proper religion, as they should be the Prophet. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, will come in the time of my people, and will be upon his religion as a just ruler, a guided and just leader. He will fight the people from Islam. He will fight the people for Islam. He will break the cross, kill the pigs, the prayer will be gathered for him, jizya will be abolished, the collection of charity will be given up, and the zakah collectors will not be employed for sheep and camels. Meaning that the wealth will be so much that there will be no need to have a zakah collector, because there is no poor people to give. There is no poor people to give. The charity too, despite mutual hatred and jealousy, will depart, and when he summons people to accept wealth, no one will do so, and a single prostration to Allah will be better than the world, and whatever is in it, the call will be only one to Allah. Lord of the worlds, meaning the religions, will only be one, the religion calling to. Galahilathon, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, said, by the one whose hand my soul is in, surely the son of will assume for Hajj or Umrah. Or, he said, for both. From a place called then a people, whom Allah had protected from the trial, say, will come to Isa, son of Mary, and he will wipe their faces and inform them of their ranks in paradise. It will be under such conditions that Allah will reveal to us these words, I have brought forth from among my servants, such people against whom none will be able to fight, take your pia pledo. So now we have the brand new phase. We had this 7 years of peace and tranquility. What happened now? Came a new phase. Elohel reveals to Isa, I have brought forth from my servants a people against whom no one will be able to fight. Take your people to them Allah will send, and who are Yaj and Majuj, they are a tribe from the sons of Adam. So we should also not make a mistake in this and put them to be some kind of devilish, otherworldly creature. They are a tribe from the sons of Adam, but Elohel has caused them to be hidden in the well-known story of that was told about them, and Galahil gave him the power to imprison them in a valley between two mountains, and that it was covered over with the molten copper, and so many things that is mentioned in each day. They have been digging or trying to dig out, and each day they do not say, Inshallah, tomorrow we will be free, until Allah will bring about a day that they will say such a thing. And this is coming in the Hadith, but they are from the children of Adam. They err from the children of Adam. The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, then Allah will send Ij la on Mayaho, and they will swarm down from every slope. The first of them will pass the lake of Tiberias and drink out of it, and when the last of them passes, he will say, there was once water there. Then they will walk until they will reach the mountain of Alamar, the mountain of Alam, and it is from the mountains of Beth Makdis and from the mountains of Jerusalem, and they will say, we have killed everyone on the earth. Let us now kill those who are in the sky. And they will throw their arrows towards the sky, and the arrows will return to them. Besmear with blood, Isa and his companions will be besieged at, and they will be so hard-pressed that the head of an ox will be worth more to them than 100 dinar. Because when you have no food, 100 dinar cannot buy you anything, so at this point, the one who has the head of an ox, it's worth more than having 100 dinar. Allah's Prophet Isa and his companions will make dua to Allah, who will send to them insects that will attack their necks, and in the morning they will perish as one single person. Allah's Prophet Isa and his companions then come down to land, and they will not find as much space as a single span that is not filled with perturbation and stench. So at this point, Yajuj and Majuj besiege the Muslims that nobody can fight them, everyone. They go past, they kill, to the point that they even kill beings that Allah knows best. Who they are in the heavens, we don't. We haven't been told who they are. Allah is they even kill things that are in the sky, let alone things that are on the earth. And when they make dua, when the Muslims make dua to Allah, and among them is what will happen, is Allah will send against an insects that will cause them to die. But when the Muslims come down to land, every single part of the earth will be covered in death and decay. Allah's Prophet Isa and his companions will make dua to Allah, who will send birds whose necks will be like certain camels, these camels, and they will carry them away and throw them where Allah wills. And Allah will send birds that will carry away the rotting things, the rotting bodies and what have you, and will throw them in a place where Allah wills. Then Allah will Send rain, which no house of mud, bricks, or tent of camel hair will keep out, and it will wash the earth until it resembles a mirror. Then the earth will be told to bring forth its fruit and restore its blessing, and as a result thereof there will grow a pomegranate so big that a group of people will be able to eat it and seek shelter under its skin, and a dairy cow will give so much milk that a whole party will be able to drink it. A milking camel will give such a large amount of milk that a whole tribe will be able to drink it, and a milking sheep will give so much milk that a whole family will be able to drink it. A bull will be sold for such and such a money, and the horse will only be sold for a few dirhams. Why is it? The bull will be sold for so much money, and the horse only for a few dirhams. This is a sign that there will not be fighting at that time because the horse is generally a steed of war. The Arabs know the horse to be a steed of war, so when the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says the horse will only be sold for a few, and there is nobody who is fighting, there is no one who is fighting one another. After this Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, blessed is the life after Isa, will be told to grow vegetation, and if you saw your seed at the mountain off safe, it would grow, and there will be no mutual spite, jealousy, and hatred. Mount Safa. Mount Safa is like rocks if you put a seed on Mount Safa. The plant would grow from the baraka, that is at that time every stinging insect will be snatched, peace will take place in the land. So that the lions will mingle with camels, tigers will mix with cows, wolves will mix with goats, and children will play with snakes, which will not harm them, and a baby will put its hand into the snake's mouth, and it will not harm him, and a baby girl will run away from a lion, but it will not harm her, and a wolf among the sheep will be like their dog. The earth will be filled with peace, just as a vessel is filled with water. Islam will become one and only Allah will be worshipped. War will put down its weapons. Like we said, the horse will only be sold for a small price. War will put down its weapons, and the dominion of Quraysh will be taken away. And he, now at the end, this is the end of the imams of Quraysh. Then it is said, the earth will become like a silver tray, growing its vegetation, just like at the time of Adam. Will live on the earth for 40 years. Then he will die, and the Muslims will pray his janazah. They will be in such a great position that Allah will send a cold wind, which will soothe people, even under their armpits. It will take the life of every believer and every Muslim. So now we reach a new phase. Now we're still going to go and talk about the other signs, but until now, we've talked about Isa. We've talked about, and these are the first 3 of the 10 major signs. These are the first oft 10 major signs at this point. Allah will send a cold wind. The believers are happy, they're living in peace, everything is great. Everything is, there is no war, there is no rancor, everyone is saying Gahila Ilala. Then Elahu will send a cold wind, and every believer will die. None will survive on the earth, having a speck of good in him, except that he will die even if some among you were to go into the innermost part of the mountain. The wind would reach him, only the wicked people will survive. Wicked people come from time to time, and from Adam there were no wicked people after 10 generations. The people have become wicked, and this is the nature of Bani Adam. And you might say, but I thought they were only believers on the earth. But this is the nature of Bani Adam. This is the nature of Bani Adam, subhan Allah, that you leave them, and in a few generations, they have become wicked again. Even if some among you were to enter the innermost part of the mountain, the wind will reach them, only the wicked people will survive, and they will be as careless as birds with the characteristics of beasts. They will neither command good nor condemn evil. Then Satan will come to them in human form, and he will say, don't you respond? They will say, what do you order us to do? He will command them to worship idols, but in spite of this, they will have an abundance of wealth and leave comfortable lives. They will commit adultery, like asses and like donkeys, and the last hour will come to them because the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, what did he say? The hour will only come upon the worst of the people. Every believer will die. Every believer will die. The hour will only come upon the worst of the people. Those people, they will be committing adultery in the streets. They will worship the idols, but Allah is punishing them so badly that even though they worship the idols, Allah will give them wealth upon wealth upon wealth. The last hour will come to them, then the trumpet will be blown, and whoever hears it, his head will bend his neck to one side and raise it from the other, the first one to hear. The trumpet will be a person who is busy setting right the system for supplying water to his camels. He will faint, and the other people will faint. Then Allah will send, or will cause to be sent, rain, which will be like dew, and from it will grow the bodies of the people. Then the second trumpet will be blown, and they will stand up. They will stand up, looking around. Then it will be said, "Oh, people, go to your Lord." They will be made to stand there, and then they will be questioned. Make them stand. They're going to be questioned. Then it will be said, "Bring out a group of them for the hellfire." It will be said how many, and how many will go to the hellfire. It will be said, 999. Out of every 1,000 will go to the hellfire. That will be the day that the children will go gray. And that will be the day that the children will become gray. And that will be the day about which Allah said on the day when the extreme hardship will come, or he said on the day when Theshan will be uncovered. And that is the end of the faith that the Sheh mentioned with regard to ALS and the descent of. Now obviously these hadith took us to the end of the. However, we're going to go back, because we still haven't talked about 7 signs. We've talked about the age 3, but we haven't talked about the 7 others. So we're going to cover them in the next Friday night reflections. We're going to cover the remaining signs from the major signs of the Day of Judgment, because we're not told in this set of hadith what or where they occur. That leads me to something useful and beneficial, brothers, and something you know. You really should benefit from all of this, and that is the benefit of gathering the narrations. Together, Islam is not a religion that you can understand from one hadith or one ayah. It's a religion that you only understand it when you gather the ayat and you gather the hadith together. And that is why the Shaima put together this story by gathering the hadith, by gathering them. Not from Muslim, but from Muslim, from Bukhari, from Ahmed, from the Ofalikim, and bringing all that hadith on the topic and putting them in one place and authenticating them and sorting them into what happened first and what happened second, and what happened third and what happened last, and so on. But even when we read such a complete story as this, it still doesn't tell us many things. It doesn't tell us about the occurrence of the other 7 signs now. As we said, the scholars are unanimous in agreeing that the first 3 signs are in order: the appearance of the and the descending. Opened the appearance of, and there is no disagreement on that. And there is no disagreement that the last of the signs is the fire that will start in Yemen and drive the people to their final resting place. What is between them are 6 signs from the 10, because that was, or 5, did we say 5? Yeah, 7, 3, 4, so that leaves 6 signs in the middle. Those we don't know which will come first and which will come second, but we're going to go back to the book of myself, and we're going to look at the 7 remaining signs, and so that we can finish our topic of the signs of the Day of Judgment with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Horn is blown. Everyone will die, and there is no one that will remain alive. When the first horn is blown, however, we don't have an evidence that everything from Allah's creation will die, and we don't have an evidence regarding the angels. There is a fabricated hadith regarding that. Then Gibel will die. Then Allah, there's a long fabricated hadith that is known by certain individuals who like to narrate fabricated hadith, and they made a big scene of it on YouTube. And he says, and then then everyone on the earth dies. Then the angels die, and there is only Gabriel left. And then Gabriel dies, and there is nobody left. And so on. This hadith is hadith of mold, a fabricated hadith. But what we do know is that everyone on the earth will die when the first trumpet is blown, and then between the first and the second trumpet there is 40. The narrator did not know. If it is 40 hours, 40 days, 40 years, he did not, or 40 months, he did not know. And then the second trumpet will be blown. During that time, the dew will fall and the bodies will grow, and the second trumpet will be blown. If the sisters have any questions after that, they can send them down with one of the kids. I don't know. So the brother said, just for the purpose of everyone hearing what the question was, that it said that Lalahel sent the insects against, and because they of them saying that, now we will kill whatever is in the heavens. It's very possible. It's very possible. But I don't know. I don't know of any evidence for it, like you think. It's possible to make it as a presumption, as a commentary, but I'm not sure that there is a hadith that says because of this Alayhel. Rather, what the hadith indicates is it's because of the dua of the Muslims that Allah sends the insects against them, but there's no doubt that alcohol destroys the people who are arrogant and full of pride. So those people who are arrogant, and they say like now, We have killed everything on the earth. We will kill everything in the heavens. It's a statement of arrogance. A statement of arrogance, and also it's worth noting that the reason that 999 people go to Jahannam and one goes to Jannah is because of and Maj, because of the huge numbers of, and because of their huge numbers. That is why the numbers are so highly stacked in favor of Yar. Those who are going to Jahannam versus the one person out of 1,000 who will go to Jannah, but it shows you the blessing of Allahel if you can be one of those people who goes to Jannah, when 999 of your fellow human beings will go to Jannah. It's a very, and subhanallah, and it's a very sobering thought, as in now it doesn't mean that they are living forever, and it's not clear that they have been given what's the word given, an extended lifespan. It may be that they are just simply procreating, like just having children like a regular tribe would be, and their children's children, and their children's children. It isn't clear to us, has Allah given them an extended life, such that the same people that were alive at the time of are the people who are digging to get out of the tunnel, or to get out of the mountain? Or is it the case that they are just having any children, and their children, grow up, and then they try to dig out of the tunnel, and they try to dig out of the tunnel, until finally one day they will say, Inshallah, we will escape. Tomorrow, and Inshallah tomorrow, we will complete. They're not here. Physically, no, and you get interpretations. People say very foolish things. People say, with all the people from certain countries, they'll mention like China or something like that. Now, I'll tell you who they are the most similar to. If you were Toif, you were to say who they are the most similar to, they are the most similar to the Mongols, to the Tatar, because the description of Maj makes them like that, and the Tatar are the people who are from places like Outer Mongolia, and Turkmenistan. And these countries, they are people who have faces that, like the Hadith says, like batter shields, like they have a particular, very distinctive way of looking. And it's interesting that when the Mongols came to attack the Muslims thought that they were Yajuj and Maj for two reasons. Number one, the description of them was very similar, and number two, the Mongols were like that. Nobody could stand in front of them, and the Mongols, when they came, everyone who stood up to them died, everybody. Except when they reached into Ye, they became weak after that, and they started to love the dunya, and they started to, become like a bit, some of them became Muslim, and some other things happened, and then the Muslims were able to mount resistance in Syria and places like that. But if you look at the Eastern Muslim Empire, when the Mongols attacked, nobody lived, not even a single person. The Mongols went through towns and villages, and just left bones, nothing. Also, this is why the people at that time thought that the Mongols were like a remnant, or of Yajuj and Majuj. And some of the scholars said, this is true, they were an offspring or an offshoot of the tribe of Yajuj and Majuj, and they are the closest of the people, the living people, to them because of the way that they fought, and the way that nobody could stand against them. But they were not Yajuj and Maj, because first of all, they fizzled out, and secondly, many of them died, and many of them also became Muslim, and they did not complete their attempt to destroy the Muslim empire. They destroyed the eastern part in places like if I'm not mistaken. Places like Turkey and parts of Persia, perhaps they destroyed parts of that empire in that area. And by the time they had reached Syria and places like that, then the issue was easier. But the famous ransacking of Baghdad and the destruction of all of the books and the works of the scholars in Baghdad, and people thought that they were majestic to those people, and Allah knows best. This is an educated guess. It's not necessarily, but from the Hadith, what we look and we can see is, it seems to me that they are the closest of the people that we can see. Toned Allah knows best. I'm just going to answer a couple of the sisters' questions. What is the book? What is the name of the book? Of Shi Albani that you are quoting from, I'm reading from the Arabic and the translation. Together, both, it is available in English, and I will try to give you the name of the book in English. I believe the book is called The Fake Christ and the Descending of Jesus, May the Peace and Blessings of Allah be upon him. It's something like, or it's called, and the Descending of Jesus. But I think it's called The Story of the Fake Christ and the Defending of Jesus, and the Descending of Jesus, and I have it in Arabic, but I have to find my copy. I have a lot of books open at one time. I have all of my class books open at one time, so it's a little difficult to find it. I'll quickly find it, and that's what it's called. In Arabic, the Lake of Tiberias is in Philistine. It's in Palestine, but it doesn't mention that is where they originate. From only that when they pass by the lake, it's a freshwater lake, so that they will drink it. And it's 50, according to this note here. It's 53 kilometers in circumference. Can you imagine? How many people a lake, which is 53 kilometers in circumference, and they will drink it to the point where it has no water left in it. Subhanallah. So this is also known as the Sea of Galilee. And it is in Philistine, but it doesn't mention that they will necessarily come from there now as Ichno. And it's possible it doesn't mention how much water will be in it when they begin drinking from it. It doesn't. It only mentions that when the first one passes by, it will be as normal, and when the last one passes by, it will be gone. I haven't read any statements from the about it yet. There's that says like none of them will be alive. This is all this hadith that no one will be alive. Who is on this earth? And this hadith is it's possible that we could use this hadith as an evidence, but also Thizmator is a matter of it's also possible that this would be an exception, because this matter is a matter of miraculous and ayah of the coming of the day of judgment, so it doesn't follow the normal rules anyway, but you could use the hadith that no one will be alive, like some of the scholars used it to include everything. Some of the scholars said it includes the jinn, it includes the men, it includes that there is nobody at the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam who is alive today, so it's possible that would be an indication that they are just giving birth as normal human beings do, and it is their children and their children's children who carry on the effort. I haven't read any statements of the scholars regarding it, so I wouldn't like to comment specifically on it, but it's possible. And it's possible that hadith could be an indication as to why, or as to the fact that they are not the original people that were there. So I think that it's a very good question. What should the everyday Muslim do to prepare for this? We'll make this maybe the last question, and then we can still chat after that, but I mean as for the class, inshallah, we'll make it the last question. So there are a number of things that I mentioned at the beginning of the class. The first one is seek knowledge, because all of these things become easier when you have knowledge, when you know who the doll is. You don't get confused because he doesn't look anything like there is no similarity between the description of the and the description of so. You're not at all confused when you seek knowledge. You know what you are supposed to do in each time. The second thing is worship Allah before the fitna comes, because if you are saved now, you will be saved then, as the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, nobody will be saved from what came before it, except that he will be saved from it, meaning if you are saved now, you will be saved then. The third thing is to learn and to teach others, the first and the last 10 ayat of surah, the first 10 and the last 10, even though many of narrations mention the first 10, some of them mention the last 10. So it's safer for you to learn both of them and to recite them. Frequently, it's narrated that Ahmed used to recite them frequently, and he was heard making the dua, O Allah keep us safe, O Allah keep us safe, when reciting the first 10 ayat of surah, recognizing or remembering the basic pieces of information. You've been given your Lord is not one eye. You will not see your Lord until you die, realizing that, remembering that the doll will how his eye will be, and how it is written on his head, and everyone who is a believer will read it. These are all things that people can do. Do a worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly. Now, at the time before the time comes when you have no opportunity to do it, but educating our children and ourselves is very important, because what we've been through these signs, and there does not appear to be very much left. Before these signs come, we don't know how long is left. We don't know, but the Sahaba used to believe it would happen in their generation, and if they used to believe it would happen in their generation, it is more befitting for us to believe that it will happen in our generation. And if it doesn't happen in our generation, then feel very, very fearful that it will happen in our children's generation. You know is something that it is like, it is absolute. There is nothing left of the minor signs, nothing left that we can see of the minor signs except those minor signs which the scholars said will happen after the file comes. As for the ones that will happen before, who can say that there is one of them left? Subhanallah. You can barely find nothing left of them, so that you have to prepare yourself. And your children for this, there will be a people who are saved, but you have to fight and strive to be among those people and prepare your children for what is going to come, and prepare yourselves for what is going to come, because knowledge and worship of Allah. SubhanAllah, getting knowledge and worshipping Allah based upon that knowledge. This is something that when the fan comes, when the trial comes, nothing can replace. Look at these countries now, that the country was safe, 10 years ago. The country was safe and unhappy, and now people are dying, the people are suffering, the people are being killed. In every place they can't seek knowledge anymore. Nobody can go to the masjid and learn from the scholars. Nobody can go to a class and learn from one of their fellow students. Nobody can do this in those countries now. When the fitna came to those countries and the killing came to those countries, people cannot even live. They cannot even find food to feed themselves and their children with, let alone to be able to go and learn a hadith, and learn Quran, and learn ayat, and they can't go to the masjid. For these are people who, if they walk from the masjid, they feel that they will be killed. They can't go to the masjid anymore. Worship Allah. When you have safety and you have peace before the time comes when there is no safety and there is no peace, and it may not be that comes first, maybe. We will not live to see that maybe. We will live to see some other fan. But the hadith indicate that the fitn will become worse and worse and worse, and everyone that will come, the person will say, "This is my destruction," and then another one will come, which will be worse than it, like pieces of the dark night, and each one darker than the next, so it doesn't sit. Subhanallah, it seems like the fitn of the Muslims are going to get worse. What you're seeing now in the countries that are a stone's throw from here, literally countries that are, subhanallah, very, very close to where we are today, and the Muslims are going through, a great trial with. Makes you think that tomorrow, it will not be, you have to worship Allah and get our knowledge now, because tomorrow, we may not have an opportunity to get it, and it's not strange to believe, it's not difficult to believe. And only 1 or 2 sparks, if they happen, and the whole thing will just fall down like a giant house of cards, and you can imagine, and what is happening now between the different countries, and the problems, and the fighting, and the killing. Just 1 or 2 sparks, and your situation could change completely from safety, from security, from happiness, into a situation where a fear for your life, and your only thing you think of is, how can I survive until tomorrow? And at that time, you will not be able to come to your Islamic center and learn. What you have learned is what you carry in your heart, and that's it. And so it's really important that we take advantage of this. We are in right now, that we are in a country that right now, at this moment in time, is not only safe, but is allowing you to learn your religion. Nobody is stopping you. Nobody arrests you for going to the masjid. Nobody stops you for learning your deen. There are ways to learn Quran. There are ways to learn hadith. There are classes in so many languages. Take advantage of it before the time comes when there will be nothing left. And it is not far, and all knows best, as the Arab said, everything that is coming is near. And Elahil knows best, introducing the One Islam TV app, the ultimate destination. To learn about Islam with hundreds of educational videos, lessons, and documentaries, experience our 7 YouTube channels in one place. All content is music-free. Download the One Islam TV app now from Apple or Google Play Store today.